Hello ladies and gentlemen, Scared12 here bringing you another Minecraft World War II bathtub build tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be going ahead and building USS Texas BB-35. USS Texas BB-35 is a museum ship and former United States Navy New York-Class battleship. She was launched on May 18, 1912 and commissioned on March 12, 1914. Texas saw action in the Mexican waters following the Tampico incident and made numerous sorties in the North Sea during World War I. In World War II, Texas escorted war convoys across the Atlantic and later shelled Axis-held beaches for the North African campaign in the Normandy landings, before being transferred to the Pacific Theater late in 1944 to provide naval gunfire support during the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Texas was decommissioned in 1948, having earned a total of 5 battle stars for service in World War II. It is currently undergoing a $35 million repair project in Galveston, Texas, and then headed to unknown location for future tours. Texas was also a technological testbed for the U.S. battleship to mount was the first U.S. battleship to mount anti-aircraft guns, the first U.S. ship to control gunfire with directors and range keepers, the first U.S. battleship to launch an aircraft, and the first U.S. Navy ship to receive production radar. Texas was the first U.S. battleship to become a permanent museum ship, the first battleship declared to be a U.S. National Historic Landmark, and is the only remaining World War I era dreadnought battleship. She is also one of 8 remaining ships and the only remaining capital ship to have served in both World Wars. So yeah, Texas here, obviously a lot of firsts for this ship, a lot of history involved in it, and the fact that it is the only floating, or the only actual dreadnought still in existence is absolutely mind-blowing. A bit unfortunate because there's a lot of history, a lot of dreadnoughts that would be really cool to see nowadays, but Texas here is going to be the only actually living example of that time period. I think she's also a very important ship and a lot of history involved that she participated in both World Wars. Same can't be said for a lot of ships, and especially nowadays where there are, as I mentioned, only 8 remaining capital ships to have served during both World Wars. So definitely a lot of history involved in this ship, and especially with the current events of her being removed from her tour location and put into a dry dock for repairs, and to extend her life, and we'll see a lot more of her and be able to visit her. I'm really hoping to kind of someday be able to see Texas. I think it's a really cool ship and dreadnought, and I would really love to see it. Kind of one of my bucket list items, I guess you can say, of seeing all the U.S. Museum ships that there are out there. Anyways, though, let's go ahead and kind of jump into taking a look at this build. And I do want to go ahead and mention that this is going to be the World War II version of the ship. There obviously are a lot of differences between the World War II version and the World War I version. So that is something I do want to go ahead and throw out there. And mainly a lot of more anti-aircraft guns and just kind of a lot more of a, I don't want to say modern look, but for World War II, a lot more of a modern type of World War II type look to the ship compared to that of the designs in World War I. With that, though, let's go and dive into taking a look at it. Now, based off of its color scheme and all that stuff, it kind of has a darker gray to it, which seemed to be what Texas was supporting during and after World War II. We have the front up here. We have its 2 forward batteries, dual guns in each of these forward turrets. We then have a lot of anti-aircraft weaponry kind of around the bridge area, so kind of the main focus of guns is in this area here, so a lot of heavy Bofors and smaller 20mm Orkans in this area. We then have the whole conning tower and the bridge, so looking pretty nice there, lots of good detail in that. For the back we have the one funnel here, we have the lifeboats, cranes, again, a lot of anti-aircraft guns located along this kind of midsection of the ship. They definitely put a lot of anti-aircraft guns on the ship, and you can definitely tell this is like the 1944 version. We have, a lot more anti-aircraft guns to defend against kamikazes and all that stuff in the Pacific. We then have the rear mast here, and also in this section here we do have the mid-turret, which does have the catapult there for its seaplane complement. And we have our 2 rear turrets here, and that right there is pretty much all there is there of Texas. Overall, really cool ship, and should be a fun design to add to in your worlds as a nice dreadnought. Again, as I mentioned, this is the World War II version. Hopefully in the future we'll see a World War I version, or at least a New York-class battleship in the World War I configuration. So that you can also have that version as well. But for the time being, this is the USS Texas and kind of the current museum ship configuration. With that though, let's go ahead and dive into the tutorial by beginning for our first layer. Alright guys, so going ahead and moving into our first layer, we're going to be going ahead and working with layer 1. A few things I want to go ahead and mention though before we go ahead and jump into this tutorial. For the first few layers here, we will be going ahead and doing a half on, half off camera type design. What this means, I'm going to be building the entire center line of the ship, and then the right side, it'll be up to you guys to take the right side and copy it over to the left side. Pretty straightforward stuff, nothing too crazy, and once we get into the more detailed sections with the hull, we'll talk about those and we'll basically do the whole layer all together. But for the time being, we'll be going ahead and doing half on, half off for probably about the first 4 layers or so. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, a lot of you are going to probably want to build this in the water. If you are wanting to build this in the water, layer 1 here is going to sit 1 block underneath the water surface. You can see the blue concrete here is going to represent our water level, and you can see our first layer, layer 1 here, is going to sit directly below that. So you do want to make sure you position this correctly in the water. Obviously, it will sit pretty weird if you, don't do that. So anyways, that right there is basically what you want right there set up, and we'll go ahead and talk about the red concrete here. So the red concrete, we're going to place down a long row. It's going to be our center line down the center of the ship, and this right here is going to be a total of 33 blocks in length. So again, from the first one to this last one, 33, a brick top slab, and then 3 brick walls going back. We're going to go ahead and place down a birchwood slab coming off this first brick wall. We're going to go and then place down a acacia wood fence gate here, which will open up toward the slab there, and then we're going to place down 1, 2, and 3 end rods like that going toward the front there. We'll then place down a brick top slab, a brick up down stair, and we'll then take our red concrete and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 red concrete blocks forward, and then a brick wall followed by a red stained glass pane, and we're going to go and then place down a acacia wood trapdoor, have that closed like that, and that's going to bring us to our front there. We're going to go and then place down a acacia wood trapdoor, come off the second red concrete block here, red stained glass pane, brick wall, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 red concrete blocks back. And we'll then just place down a brick top slab here on the end. We'll then go to our second to last red concrete block. We're going to place it on a acacia wood trapdoor on the side, close it like so, and then we're going to go and go additional 1, 4. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 of those trapdoors going forward like that. After that is all done there, that is going to basically wrap up everything we have there for this layer. And looking at it from the top down view, this is going to basically be layer number 1. Anyways though, with that all complete and the other side transferred over, here that's it for layer 1. Let's move on to layer number 2. For our next layer, we'll be going ahead and moving into layer number 2 for the build. We're going to start off by placing down a red stained glass pane on top of this red concrete block, and we're going to go ahead and then go back from that red stained glass pane with a long row of red concrete for a total of 35 blocks. On the very end here, we're going to go and then place down a brick wall. After that's done, we want to go ahead and place down a brick top slab coming off the 4th red concrete block here, a brick upside down stair, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 red concrete blocks forward. I'm going to double check our count here to make sure everything is the correct length, and it should be 25 blocks in total. We're going to go then place down a brick wall, and then 2 red stained glass panes forward, and then an acacia wood trapdoor like that to bring us to our front. We then want to place down a red stained glass pane coming off the side here of the second red concrete block in this outer row, a brick wall, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 red concrete blocks back, and a brick upside down stair here on the very end, or rather actually a brick top slab. After that's done, we want to go then take our red stained glass panes, and we're going to go ahead and go to our 3rd and 4th red concrete blocks here from the end. We're going to go then take our brick walls, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 brick walls, and then 1, 2 red stained glass panes forward. After that is all done there, that's going to wrap up everything we have for layer 2. Take a look at it from above. This is what we should have for the top-down view once both sides are transferred over. And one last thing also on the back here is going to be the addition of a lever that's going to be on top of this fence gate, which will have kind of pointing downwards like so. This is going to be more of the ship, or more of a feature you can add if you're having the ship out of water. If you do have this in water, the lever can't be placed in the water. So something that you'll have to kind of just be able to place, pick and choose, depending on how you have this ship displayed. Anyways though, that is going to do everything we have there for layer 2, and with that, let's move on to layer number 3. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 3. For layer 3 to start with, we're going to place down a gray concrete block on top of this first block here. We're going to go ahead and then go back from that gray concrete block of a long row all the way to the very rear stern of our ship for a total of 35 blocks in length. Actually, I'm going to go and double check the count here, and it should be 36. So 36 blocks total. Should end on top of that wall right there, and also up here in the front should be on that red concrete block. With that done, we're going to go ahead and then place down a dark oak trapdoor here to the side, then a gray stained glass pane, and then a polished black stone wall. We're going to go then place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28 gray concrete blocks back, a polished black stone wall, a gray stained glass pane, and a dark oak wood trapdoor, which will close flat along the side there. We then want to place down a gray stained glass pane right here on that second to last gray concrete block, a polished black stone wall going forward, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Gray concrete forward, a polished black stone wall, and a light gray, or rather a gray stained glass pane. We're going to go then place down a dark oak trapdoor on the side of the second block here. Then we're going to place down 2 gray stained glass panes back, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 polished black stone walls. Let me go ahead and just double check the count here of those walls. But yeah, it should be 15 here in total. We're going to go then place down a gray stained glass pane, and then a dark oak trapdoor, which will close along the side there. After that's all done, this is what it should look like from the top-down view, and that will have layer 3 all complete. You'll take what you did on the right side and flip it over to the other side, and you'll have that all done. Anyways, though, with that out of the way, that's it for layer 3, and we'll move on to layer number 4. Moving into our next layer, we have layer 4. For layer 4 to start with, we're going to place down a gray concrete block on top of this block here, and then one more block back from that. We're going to go then use stripped spruce wood, and we're going to place down a long row of stripped spruce wood all the way down the center line here of the ship for a total of 32 to go ahead and create kind of our decking for the top there. We're going to go then place down a gray concrete block and then a polished black stone wall there on the very end. We're going to then place down a gray stained glass pane to the side here of this block, a polished black stone wall going forward, and then 1, 2 gray concrete. Then we'll use our stripped spruce wood again. We're going to go and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26 blocks forward. Another gray concrete block, a gray stained glass pane, a polished black stone wall, and then another gray stained glass pane, followed by a wither skeleton skull here on the very front. We're going to go ahead and then grab ourselves an item frame as well as a crossbow. And we're going to place down an item frame here on the side of this glass pane and a crossbow in the item frame rotated to face downwards like so for the anchor. Then we're going to go ahead and place down a dark oak trapdoor that's going to sit on the side here of this block. Then a polished black stone wall, 2 gray concrete. Then we're going to go and place down 2 more stripped spruce wood. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Gray concrete back, a polished black stone wall, and then a gray stained glass pane. After that is all done there, we're going to go ahead and place down a dark oak trapdoor on that second to last gray concrete block. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 gray stained glass panes forward, and I'll go ahead and double check the count here, and it's going to be 17 in total. Then we want to place down 2 dark oak trapdoors. We'll make sure that those are closed along the side there, and then we'll go ahead and grab ourselves some dark oak signs. We're going to place down 2 signs here, and then 1 sign there. So it's going to look something like that there for the hull. And that there is pretty much it for layer 4, and with that, that's it for the hull here of Texas. And at this point, we're going to be pretty much just focusing our attention now on the superstructure and basically building everything up from there on out. With that done, though, that's it for layer 4, and let's go ahead and move on to layer number 5. Moving into our next layer, we have layer 5. For layer 5 to go ahead and get started with here, we're going to go ahead and place down a dark oak fence gate here, open that toward the front, and then an iron bar on top. And then we're going to go ahead and place down a redstone repeater here. Behind that, separate the notches from each other like so. A item frame here to both sides. A black bed in the item frame, which we're going to go ahead and rotate at a slight angle like this to both sides. After that, we want to go ahead and place down a redstone dust piece just right behind that, which will follow with 2 dark oak fence gates, which are going to open up toward the rear of the ship. We then want to go ahead and place down a polished black stone brick stair, like that, followed by a gray concrete block, and then a polished black stone up-down stair right here, directly behind that. On the sides of the turret here, we're going to go ahead and grab ourselves a wither skeleton skull, And we're going to place down a wither skeleton skull coming off the side here of these stairs, like so. If you're on Java, I'd recommend going ahead and now placing down a gray stained glass pane in these sections. And we're going to go ahead and then type in the command /give at p Minecraft colon. Let me go ahead and correct this real quick. It is supposed to be a lowercase p. Then we have Minecraft debug underscore stick. So this command right here, press enter and you'll get this glowing stick. What we can do here is we can actually extend the glass pane in the directions that we want to. So we're going to have this extend toward the two heads. So it's going to go like this, and we're going to do the same thing over here. And basically it'll look like this. So kind of create your turret. Now, an alternative to this, if you're not on Java, is to probably use a polished blackstone stair in place of those glass panes. But the glass panes here are going to be the best looking design, at least in my opinion, for making these turrets. So just keep that in mind and do whatever works best for you in your version. We're going to go ahead and place down a spruce wood pressure plate here to both sides, and then we'll go ahead and then grab ourselves levers, and we're going to place down a spruce wood pressure plate on top of this block, and then 2 levers right here, and same thing over here. If you're on Java, I'd recommend also going ahead and grabbing an item frame, and since we can place down item frames and levers in the same block space, we're going to place down item frames underneath these levers, like so, to go ahead and kind of create these like defensive positions or gun positions, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to go ahead and then place down a polished, or rather a gray concrete block here, followed by a second one behind it, and we're going to go ahead and then place down a light gray stainless, just a gray stainless pane to both sides, and then a polished blackstone wall to both sides of that. We're going to go ahead and then place down a stripped spruce wood block here in the center, then a gray concrete block to both sides. After we have that gray concrete block placed, we're also going to place down a gray stained glass pane to both sides. We're going to go ahead and then place down a row of 3 of stripped birch or stripped oak wood or dark or spruce wood, and then a gray concrete block again to the sides there. We'll then follow this up with an end rod that's going to come off the side here of these blocks. After that's all done, we want to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete block on both ends here, and we're going to go ahead and place down again a row of 3 of stripped spruce wood, and this time we're going to go ahead and place down a glass pane on the ends here, and then we're going to have an end rod come off that for the start of our casemates. Same thing over here. We're going to go ahead and place down a gray concrete block again on both ends, this time a row of 5 of stripped spruce wood across, and then we're going to follow this up with a glass pane coming off the gray concrete. Again, a end rod coming off the side of it, like so, for our casemate guns, and then we're going to go ahead and place down a polished blackstone wall on both sides, a gray concrete block, and then a stripped spruce wood block there in the center. Now, once we get to this point here, we want to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete going back from those 2, and an air stripped spruce wood block there in the center. We'll also grab a dark oak wood fence post, and we're going to place down a dark oak wood fence post here to both sides. Then after that, we're going to place down again a gray concrete block and a spruce wood block there in the center. And this will be followed up with a bed, or a white bed that's going to be like this for a lifeboat there. Then we're going to continue off our gray concrete, another gray concrete block on both sides, and there's stripped spruce wood block in the center. Again, one more time, a gray concrete block on both sides, and there's stripped spruce wood block there in the center. Now, at this point, we want to go ahead and then place down a, or rather, we're going to go ahead and swap out this gray concrete, or that spruce wood right there, for gray concrete, so it's going to look like this here. And then we'll grab a stripped spruce, or just a spruce pressure plate, and we're going to place this on both sides here. We then want to go ahead and place down a polished blackstone upside down stair, like this, like so. Gray concrete coming off of it, another stair, then a gray stainless pane to both sides, and we then want to go ahead and place down a wither skeleton skull on both sides here. Then we'll take a debug stick, and we're going to go ahead and basically extend this in both directions. So just like we did before. And we'll take our dark oak wood fence gates, and we're going to go ahead and again place down 2 fence gates and have that opened up toward the stair. Now, after that is all done, we then want to go ahead and place down a stone cutter, like so here, and then a fence gate coming off of it, and same thing over here. Stone cutter and a fence gate. We're going to go and then grab ourselves our levers, and we're going to place down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over here, same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's actually going to be 5, so we're going to go and go one more. And after we have those 5 placed, we're also going to go ahead and grab ourselves some item frames. We're going to place down item frames underneath the levers, if applicable. So just like that. And in the center space here, we're going to go ahead and just grab some redstone repeaters and comparators. We're going to place down a comparator like this to both sides, and then a repeater like this with the notches spread apart on both sides. There, that last fence gate. Now with that done, we want to go ahead and then grab an end rod and a polished blackstone wall. We're going to place down a polished blackstone wall here in the center, end rods to both sides, and then one end rod going toward this direction here. We're going to go ahead and then place down 2 polished blackstone upside down stairs, as well as another 2 on this side here. And we're going to go ahead and then place down a wither skeleton skull that's going to go right here. And you have a couple options on what you can do here. So if you are on Java, or if you're on Bedrock, or another version, you can place down a chain kind of coming off that skeleton skull like so. For us though, on Java, there's a design I like a little bit more, and obviously it's kind of more depending on what you want to do here. But we'll place down a block that kind of separates from the skull there. We have a space of 1 in between it. In that space, we're going to place down a lever on this side. We'll use our debug stick here. We're going to go ahead and change the facing. So we're just going to go ahead and rotate this around so it comes off the wither skeleton skull. And we're going to do the same thing over here. So it's this kind of heavier anti-aircraft gun like this, or a secondary gun, one of the two, but I like that better. I think it kind of looks a little bit more like what we're trying to go for with that. So that's what I went ahead and did there. But again, the chain is a good alternative if you do not have access to a debug stick. We're gonna go ahead and place down a pressure plate here to both sides, and then we're gonna go and place down another wither skeleton skull, and we're gonna go and do the same technique here. So again, all depends on what you did before. So whatever you did for the last wither skeleton skull, just go ahead and repeat the same process like so. Then after we have that done, we want to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete block that's going to go right here in this space, and then a second one back from that. We're going to grab our gray stained glass panes, place them down on both sides like so, and then coming off this going toward the back, we're going to place down a polished blackstone upside down stair, another gray concrete block, and we do want to go ahead and grab our polished blackstone brick stair, which we're going to go and actually place here, so we're going to swap that stair out there, but also we're going to place it here on the back. Then we're going to place down 1 and 2 dark oak with fence gates, which will open up toward the stair itself. On the sides here, just like we've done before for our turrets, we're going to place down our wither skeleton skulls, and we're also going to go ahead and place down our gray stained glass panes there, or your stairs, depending on what you want to do. And we'll use the same techniques here to extend our glass panes to the sides there like that. Now, after we have that all complete there, we're going to go ahead and grab our redstone repeaters and comparators again, and we want to place down a redstone repeater here, separate the notches from each other, and then we're going to go ahead and then place down a redstone comparator that is going to be positioned like that. Now after that is all done, we're going to go ahead and basically leave 2 spaces or 2 blocks out here to the side. This is going to be for Java players inputting more anti-aircraft guns on the back here. Unfortunately, there really isn't any good alternative for non-Java players, so unfortunately I don't really have much for you guys. But for Java players, though, we will go ahead and left-click our levers here for debug stick until we get selected face wall. We're going to right-click this and set these to the floor, and they should connect or sit on top of the glass, the wall there, and the glass pane, and those are going to be just positioned right there. We'll then grab a item frame, and we can place down an item frame on top of the glass pane for that little gun position, but we cannot place it down on top of that wall. After that's done, we want to go ahead and then place down a lever here on both sides, which can be done for all versions, and then we're going to place down an item frame as well underneath those. We'll use the same technique that we've done before to basically put a lever on top of these walls as well. So just like that, and that'll basically create what looks like that there on the back. Then after we have that complete, we want to go ahead and then place down a redstone comparator here in the center, followed by a stone cutter to both sides. And we're going to place down a dark oak fence gate coming off the stone cutters. And then we're going to go ahead and just very simply place down an end rod that's going to be on the polished blackstone wall here on the very back. So like this. And after we have that done, that is it for layer 5. A pretty long layer, as we do have a lot going on in this layer. But the layers will kind of get easier and easier as they progress, and there's less for us to do. But this is what it should look like from the top-down view. If you need to, take some time, make sure everything is lined up and good to go. But again, that is it for layer 5. And with that, we'll be going ahead and moving on to our next layer, which will be layer number 6. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 6. For layer 6 to go ahead and get started with here, we're going to place down a polished black stone stair on top of this block here. Make sure it's the brick stair also, then a gray concrete block, and then an upside down polished blackstone stair. Again, our wither skeleton skulls to the sides of the stairs, and then a gray stainless pane to both sides as well. Again, you can use your debug stick here to go ahead and change the properties there and extend those glass panes like that. Forward of the polished blackstone brick stair, we're going to place down our 2 fence gates and have that open up toward it like that for the main guns. And that's going to be our second turret there on the front complete. We then want to place down a stone cutter that's going to be on top of this glass pane here. So it's going to be like this to both sides. And we're going to go ahead and place down a fence gate coming off of the stone cutter like so. After that, behind this, we're going to place down a gray concrete block with a gray stainless pane to the sides there. After we have that all done there, we want to go ahead and then place down a strip spruce wood block here in the center, and then another gray concrete block to the sides there. We'll then place down a wither skeleton skull that's going to go here, then one here, and same thing will be done over here on this side. So we have a wither skeleton skull here, here, so you have those 3 placed. We can use the same technique as we did on the back here, so you can either use your levers or you can go ahead and use a chain coming off of it. Again, I'll leave it up to you guys in terms of what you want to do, but we'll just go ahead and place down our levers and use the same technique as before. We're just going to go ahead and basically rotate these around so that they look like they come off of our wither skeleton skulls. So just like that, that's that side done, and over here on this side, we're going to do the same thing. So just like that. And after we have that done, we're also going to place down a scaffolding block, which is going to go right here on top of those gray concrete blocks. After we have that done, we want to take our gray concrete, and we're just going to place down a row 3 across this space here. And we want to go ahead and then place down a polished black stone wall, which is going to be in the center here, and then a dark oak wood fence gate to both sides of that wall. Then on top of the glass pane here to the side, we're going to place down another stone cutter to both sides here, and then another dark oak wood fence gate that's going to be coming off the stone cutter like so, and open up toward it. After that, we have that done, we're going to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete block that's going to sit right here. And then we're going to place down a polished black stone wall in these 2 spaces. We then want to place down an anvil that's going to sit on top of that fence post. So again, we're going to place down an anvil like this to both sides. And we can then go ahead and go off of the anvil here. And again, for Java players, we have a little bit more debug stick work we can do here, which will basically involve placing down 2 blocks above the space here, and then 2 levers like this. Same thing over here. What we're going to do for this lever, this first lever, is we're going to go and flick this so it, or actually rather we'll go ahead and, we're going to go and leave that alone for right now. So we'll actually disregard that. So after those anvils are placed, we then want to go ahead and grab our pressure plates, and we're going to place down a pressure plate here on both sides of that block, as well as a white bed that's going to go back along the sides there. We are going to go and then place down a gray concrete block here. And then we'll go ahead and grab ourselves our daylight detectors, and we're going to place down 1, 2, 3, 4 down like this down the center here for the seaplane catapult. We'll also go ahead and grab a chain, and we're going to place down a chain that's going to go on top of the stone cutters here on both sides for what will be our crane, which we'll kind of expand upon in the next layer. After that, going ahead and going back to our mass, or secondary mass, we're going to place down a dark oak wood fence gate here. We're going to open this up toward the back here, or toward the front of the ship, I should say, and then a wither skeleton skull to both sides. We're going to go and then place down an end rod here on top of that, and we then want to go ahead and take our levers, and we're going to place down a lever here on these 2 upside down stairs, as well as an item frame like that, that the levers are going to sit on. With that, we're going to go ahead and then place down a polished black stone upside down stair in this space here, a wither skeleton skull to both sides, and then a gray concrete block there coming off of it, a polished black stone stair, and then a wither skeleton skull to both sides of that stair. Gray stainless paint in between those skulls, and we'll then take our debug stick here again, like we've been doing, and we're just going to go ahead and extend our pane in both directions here. So just like that. And of course, we're going to take our dark oak wood fence gates, place down 2 more going back, and that's going right there is going to wrap up our last and final turret there. That right there seems like it's pretty much it for this layer. As I mentioned before, the layers are going to get more simplistic as we progress on and get more and more of the superstructure done. But yeah, that right there is going to conclude everything there is there for layer number 5, or actually, sorry, layer number 6. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to layer number 7. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 7. For layer 7 to go ahead and get started with here, we want to go ahead and place down a daylight detector that's going to sit on top of this block here, which we're going to go ahead and then turn to the night mode like so that kind of grayish color, or bluish gray. And then we're going to go ahead and then place down an end rod to both sides of it. If you're on Java, we're going to go ahead and place down 2 blocks down on top here of the center of the turret, and we're going to go ahead and then place down levers on both sides here. And then we can go ahead and then left click these levers until we get selected face, and we're going to go ahead and set these to the floor. We'll then go ahead and left click these again until we get selected facing, and we're going to go ahead and right click these and basically rotate them around so that they face toward the outsides like that, to go ahead and make these more anti-aircraft gun positions on the secondary turret. And we're also going to place down item frames on those glass panes like that for the gun or the fighting positions there. So it's going to look like that there in the front. After that's done, we're going to go ahead and then place down a fence gate that is going to sit behind this daylight detector, which we're going to go ahead and open up toward the front, and then a gray concrete block directly behind it. Now, after that is all done, we want to go ahead and then place down a stone cutter on the sides here, as well as a fence gate coming off the stone cutter, which we're going to open up toward it, and obviously same thing over here as well. Once we have that all done there, we're going to go ahead and then place down a stone pressure plate to both sides, and then an air pressure plate going back just like that. Once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and then place down another dark oak fence gate here in the center, which we're going to open up toward the front. We'll place down an item frame, which is going to be on both sides here of that fence gate. If I can get to work, and for some reason it's not wanting to go on there, and it's actually going to be because we're going to swap out that fence gate for actually a fence post. So we're going to place down a fence post here on each one of these fence gates, and then it's going to be an item frame here to the side with a snowball on it. So it's going to look like this there, like that instead. In this middle space here, we are going to go ahead and grab a dark oak with trapdoor, and we just want to place down a trapdoor like this there in the center. We're going to go ahead and place down another gray concrete block on top of this one here for our funnel, as well as a polished black stone wall on top of the 2 anvils on both sides there. Going ahead and going back from the anvils, we're going to place down 1, 2, 3 end rods, 1, 2, 3. And then we'll take a wither skeleton skull, and we're going to place it down on the tip here of the end rods on both sides, so it's going to look like that. There will be another gray concrete block just on top of that one. This one will however have a polished black stone wall to both sides of it. Then after we have this all done here, again a little bit more of a Java feature, we're going to go ahead and kind of build blocks off to the side here underneath these 2 end rods, and we're going to go ahead and take our levers, and we're going to place down 2 levers here on the sides. We're going to take our debug stick here, and on our first lever, we're going to go ahead and click to selected face wall. We're going to set this to floor, and we're going to go ahead and set the second one to ceiling. We're going to go ahead and then rotate these so that the one that's on the ceiling here faces backwards, and the one on the floor faces forwards. We can then delete these 2 blocks, and we have this kind of extra support here for the crane, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing over here on this side. So just like this, and again our end rod here, or our lever, is going to basically be like that on the floor, and this one here is going to be the ceiling, and we're going to go and then rotate these around again like that. So that's how they're going to look there. After that is all done, we want to go ahead and then place down a fence gate. That's going to be or we actually had the fence gate already. So instead, we're going to have that polished black stone wall or stair on top here, and then to the side of that, we want to go ahead and place down a dark oak wood trapdoor to both sides, and we want to go ahead and then place down an item frame coming off the trapdoor. So again, with that to both sides, and we want to go ahead and then take our signs, and we're going to go ahead and place down 1, 2, and 3 dark oak wood signs there across the side. Then going ahead and going toward this section here, we're going to place down a polished black stone wall, then a wither skeleton skull to both sides here of the wall, just like that. After that, we want to go ahead and then take our levers or our blocks. We're going to place down 2 blocks here down the center, place down our levers here to the sides, and we're going to go and then use our debug stick here to left click these so we get selected face wall. We're going to go and set these to the floor again, and we're going to go and then rotate these so that they face toward the outside here, and same thing will be done on both sides. Like the forward turret, we can go ahead and then place down an item frame on the glass pane there, and that right there is pretty much all we have for layer 7. As you can see, we're getting pretty close. We're getting a lot of the superstructure kind of out of the way, and we're getting very close to our final little sections here. Anyways, so that's it for layer 7. Let's move on up to layer number 8. Moving on to our next layer, we have layer number 8. For layer 8 to go ahead and get started with here, we're going to place down a gray concrete block on top of this fence gate here. And we're going to go forward from it with a polished black stone wall. After that, we're going to go ahead and place down another gray concrete block that goes back from that. And we're going to go ahead and also place down a gray stainless pane to both sides here, like so. After we have that done, on top of this fence post here, we do want to go ahead and place down a dispenser, or rather, sorry, a piston that's going to be on these two fence posts. If you don't have access to a debug stick, again, for those pistons, I would recommend a full block of some sort. You can kind of pick and choose whatever you want. Because off the piston, or off that full block there, we are going to go ahead and place down a tripwire hook that is going to go on both sides here, like so. So like this, and we're going to leave that as is for right now. After that is all done there, we can also take our glass pane and we can actually go ahead and again extend the sides here of the glass panes using our debug stick here for Java players, forward and back like that for that forward section there. Then this section here, we're going to place down a black concrete block that is going to go on top of this gray concrete here. Then a wither skeleton skull and then an end rod to both sides of that skull. We're going to continue on, go into this section here by placing down a wall on top of this stair here, and then coming off that wall to the sides, we're going to place down 2 end rods. So 1, 2, and over here 1, 2. After that is complete, we're also going to place down a polished blackstone wall on the wall right here. After that is all done, we're going to go ahead and then place down a polished blackstone stair here, and then a end rod coming off of it. We're also going to go ahead and place down a wither skeleton skull on both sides of the stair as well, just like that. And after that's all done, that is going to wrap up everything there is there for layer 8. And with that, we're going to go ahead and probably just move into our final layers and go ahead and complete the rest of the build. Alright guys, moving into our final layers here, we have layers 9 through 14. For these layers to go ahead and get started with here, we're going to place down a polished blackstone wall on top of this gray concrete block here, followed by a wither skeleton skull to both sides of it. Also, in addition from the previous layer, I did forget to mention, we do want to go ahead and place down a wither skeleton skull on both sides of this wall, so just make sure you go ahead and do that, and do fix your glass panes if needed. Anyways though, after you have that done, you're going to place down a dark oak wood sign there on that wall, as well as you're going to go ahead and place down a piston here in this section as well. Again, alternative to the piston here really would probably just be a full block. There really isn't any other good options other than the full block. Then we're going to place down an end rod on top of these 2 pistons here, and then an end rod on top of this piston. We also want to go ahead and grab a polished blackstone slab, or a polished blackstone brick slab, place it on top here, and we're going to go ahead and then use a technique here for our tripwire hooks. We're going to build a space off to both sides, and we're going to go ahead and then grab our tripwire hooks, and for our gun directors up here on top, we're going to go ahead and place down our tripwire hooks, and we're going to go ahead and left click these until we get selected facing, again using our debug stick here. Unfortunately for other versions, I do not have a good option or a good alternative to you, and that's something you may have to just pass up on. After we have that done, we're going to go ahead and then place down a fence gate that is going to go in between, or come off this end rod like that. And we then want to go ahead and place down wither skeleton skulls on the sides here. Same thing here, and one there toward the back. After that, we're going to go ahead and place down a polished blackstone wall on top of that fence gate. And we're going to go ahead and then place down a gray concrete block going forward, a gray stainless pane to both sides, and then a polished blackstone wall going forward. We're going to go ahead and then grab an item frame. We're going to place down our item frame here, black bed, and then we're going to place down a gray or a dark oak wood sign over it. Again, Java is the only version that allows item frames and signs in the same block space, so if you're not on Java, just place down the item frame and disregard the sign. Continuing on up from this, we want to go ahead and then grab ourselves end rods. We're going to place down end rods coming off, or 2 end rods coming off the side of the glass panes. And then going up from that, we're going to go ahead and place down a cobweb on the top of this wall. And then we want to go and then grab a polished blackstone slab and place it on top of the gray concrete here. Then we're going to go and then place down 2 end rods up from the cobweb, a wither skeleton skull, or rather, sorry, just 1 end rod up, a wither skeleton skull on top, which that's not a wither skeleton skull, however this is. And then another wither skeleton skull on top of this slab here, and then an end rod to both sides of that skeleton skull like so. Then moving to the back here, we're going to go ahead and place down a polished blackstone wall that's going to go on top of this stair here. using the same technique as we did before, we're going to place down a trip bar hook to both sides, and we're going to go ahead and then rotate these around. So left click these to get selected facing, rotate these around until they come off the side of the walls, like that. Then after we have that done, we want to go ahead and grab our end rod and some iron bars. We're going to place down an end rod that goes up like so, iron bar on top, and then one iron bar out to the sides, as well as another iron bar that's going to go on top of the two outer end rods like so. We then want to go ahead and place down a dark oak fence gate that's going to come off of this end rod here, open it up toward the end rod, then another end rod on top of the fence gate, and on the very top here we're going to place down a wither skeleton skull like so. After that is all done there, that's pretty much it for our kind of main structure here for the build. One thing also is we will place down an iron frame on top of this black concrete here, and we're going to go ahead and then place down a iron bar coming off of that. And also we'll grab a fence gate, and we're going to place down a dark oak fence gate in between these two here for our forward mass. However, once that's all done, we'll be going ahead and then using barrier blocks for the remaining kind of section here of our build to go ahead and set up our rigging. For barrier blocks, to get them, you can use the command /give @p Minecraft : barrier, and that's pretty much the command right there. Barrier. So it looks like this, and press enter will give you these kind of invisible blocks. So they're pretty useful in the fact that we can connect buttons and stuff like that to them and use them for making some rigging here for the ship. You should have them on all versions, though I have been told that they go by a different name of structure blocks on Bedrock. So again, just kind of look through your options and do whatever works best here for you. But anyways, if you're on Java, we can also go ahead and kind of expand upon this by also one thing here is first, all versions, there should also be a pressure plate here on that wall, so just make sure that gets added in. However, for Java players, we can also place down a chain here, right here, on top of that pressure plate for our rigging. However, for all versions now, we will place down 1, 2, 3 barrier blocks up, and 1, 2, 3 barrier blocks up. Then we're going to place down 1, 2 here, and 1, 2 like that. We'll go ahead and grab our stone buttons, and we're going to place down 1, 2 around this forward one, then 1, 2 like this going across, and then 1, 2, 3 like that. And same thing will be done here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, then 1, 2. So it's going to look like that there for your rigging. After that, we're going to go ahead and grab our barrier blocks again. And for our barrier blocks, we're going to go off these end rods, 1, 2, 1, 2. We then want to go ahead and drop down from the barrier blocks. And we're going to place down another barrier block going back. This right here is going to be actually 2 barrier blocks, like so. We're going to go ahead and then build over at an angle, or toward the inside here. So we're going to basically build 1 barrier block that goes inwards on both sides. After that, we're going to go ahead and then go down from that barrier block. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and connect our 2 barrier blocks here, or we're going to have 2 barrier blocks come off this these 2 end rods here going forward. We're going to place down 2 stone buttons, or rather 2 stone buttons here on top of the barrier blocks. Then we're going to place down 2 stone buttons, or rather, sorry, 1 stone button here on the side, or we're just going to go 2 on the side here instead. So it's going to be 2 on the side here. Then going up from that, we have our 3. So we're going to place down a barrier button here on the inside. Or rather, sorry, the outside of this barrier block. And then we're going to place it down 2 buttons on the inside here of these 2. So it's going to be like this here. Then we want to go ahead and grab our buttons, and we're going to place them on the bottom of these 2 barrier blocks. So just like this, to both sides. And that is going to complete your rigging there, and that's really all we have in terms of rigging. Last thing to do is to take our debug stick. We're going to go ahead and go to these pistons here, and we're going to go ahead and left click until we get the selected extend to false pop up. We'll then right click them, and we'll get rid of that wood portion on them just like that to go ahead and complete your mass. And with that, that's going to wrap up layers 9 through 13 for the build. And with that, that's going to wrap up my tutorial here for the USS Texas BB-35. in her World War II configuration. Hope you guys do enjoy this tutorial and are able to put to good use. If you do use this build, I do ask that you guys give me proper credit for it. This will be linked from a side of the build, link to my channel or this video if this does appear on social media sites. As long as you guys give me proper credit for the build, you're free user for a project you guys are working on. Overall, enjoy the build, have fun with it, and all that fun stuff. And yeah, with that, enjoy the build. Thank you guys again so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been your 204, and I'll see you guys next time.